The recent allegations against MrBeast have sparked widespread criticism, but especially a lot of drama, having almost every hour a new YouTuber releasing a video titled "He's finished," "He had a good run," "MrBeast's downfall," etc. These videos are getting millions of views, and for two good reasons. First, because humans are deeply attracted to drama, which is why news outlets mainly show bad news instead of positive ones. And the other reason is because Jimmy was one of the most liked people on YouTube. Not only he has the most subscribed YouTube channel in the platform with over 300 million subscribers, but also all the comments in all his videos have historically been 99.99% positive. One of the most common comments is something like, "Finally the world has made the right person famous." And that is partially due to him giving away a lot of his money, from random homeless people to his subscribers to doing big philanthropic projects like building houses or water wells in Africa or planting 20 million trees. And now, all of a sudden, that has flipped on the opposite direction, with everybody hating on him, using words like evil to describe who he actually is. Now, with all of this going on, I realized that this was a really good opportunity to use this situation to bring a message of hope and to make the world a better place instead of spreading more drama. Would you like to stay for that? Or would you prefer to keep watching drama? So, these are the topics that I'd like to talk about today. 1. Why I don't think he is evil and the nuance around this. Second, why this situation is important and why it matters to all of us, even if you don't care at all about MrBeast. Third, the one side of the story issue. Fourth, the problems that arise in most people around validation, money, and power. Fifth, how we could all use this situation to become better people. And last, I have a direct letter to Jimmy. So, let's dive in. The first thing is why I don't think he's evil. The most likely scenario is that he is not the saint that everybody thought him to be, or the demon that everyone is making him to be now. In a way, that is part of the problem, which is our tendency to generalize a whole person based on their good deeds or their mistakes. If they do philanthropy and give all their money away, they must be living saints, right? How can someone who does something like that have any darkness in their heart? And on the other side, if they tricked people and made many mistakes, well, these are not mistakes. People are just evil, right? No, neither of these are true. In reality, people's personalities are very complex, and as we talked about many times in this channel, every single person is traumatized, including you, me, and also Jimmy. Trauma makes us act in ways in which sometimes people label as evil, but it also brings upon a lot of our gifts. The reason why I don't think he's evil is because trauma can heal, and once it does, people stop their wounded behavior. What this means is that they were never evil to start with, and that their true nature wasn't intrinsically dark. Otherwise, that would have never changed. Fortunately, due to the nature of my work, I've seen so many times evil people realize why they were acting the way they were, heal it, and then make drastic changes. I'd like to remind people of something. Before Jimmy was famous, when he struck his first sponsor deal for $10,000, he gave it all away to a homeless person and didn't keep a single penny of it. This is actually one of the videos that started bringing him to fame. Bear in mind, he didn't have any of the money he has today, and he was only 18. And I think most people will relate to this, but when I was 18, I felt $500 was a lot of money, let alone 10K, and let alone give it all away. And then, only 1 year later, and still a teenager, when he struck his first $100,000 deal, he gave it all to his mom so that she could finish paying her house mortgage. I want to say that despite the controversy that's happening right now, I believe this shows who Jimmy really is in essence, and one of the many reasons why I don't believe that he's evil. And by the way, I am not defending his current actions. We will talk more about that in a few minutes when we talk about validation, money, and power. But I wanted to remind people of the things that get forgotten when drama takes over. Second, why all of this is important and why it matters to all of us, even if you don't care at all about MrBeast. What's happening with Jimmy right now matters to all of us, even if you're not a fan, because it reflects broader societal issues that we all engage with, like how we treat others in the public eye, how we respond to mistakes, and how quick we are to judge or cancel someone. When I see myself about to criticize someone for what they've done, I try to ask myself, have I done a version of that before? It is important to ask oneself that question because our tendency will always be to point the finger at someone for what they have done, but many times we have done that very same thing or a version of it. And that is simply being a hypocrite. But in a way, it's beyond hypocrisy, which is that it is hard to admit to ourselves that we have done those things, as ultimately that makes us feel unlovable. Another reason why this is important is that in the public eye, it is almost forbidden to make mistakes and be human. Me, you, your friends, we definitely can. But the second you have a little bit of popularity, every mistake you make is judged 100 times stronger. Famous people are not allowed to be human without having millions of fingers pointing at their humanity, the same humanity that those people pointing the fingers have within themselves. This is a problem because blame and compassion cannot coexist. Why not? Because the essence of compassion is the process of understanding the other person's experience to the fullest, and the essence of blame is lack of consideration for the other person's experience. Blame leads people to feel shameful, and shame leads people to hide and not heal rather than change. And it also perpetuates the behavior. I made a whole video about how shame perpetuates trauma, which you can check up here or in the description below. If what we really want is for situations like the one Jimmy is in not to happen again, it is not blame that will lead us there. Actually, it is much less judgment and much more compassion that are needed for that to become our reality. Third, the one side of the story problem. The other issue is that we have only heard one side of the story. Every story has two sides, and it is usually the side that we hear first, the one that creates the strongest impact in our bias. I can guarantee you that the feelings you get by hearing one side of the story first would be very, very different than if you would hear that side of the story second. One of the many things that I do as a facilitator is to help people resolve their conflicts. 100% of the times, with no exception, when I hear the first person give their side of the story, I immediately feel that they are right and that the other person is for sure wrong and that there is nothing they could ever say to make me feel any different. Of course, I know with my head that this is not the case, but I am talking about the initial feelings that I get. So, I always wait to hear both sides of the story, and in most cases, they are both right and both wrong in certain places. And again, I am asking this question to myself. Have I done these things too? And the answer is yes. I have judged people hearing only one side of the story, only to later hear the other side and realize how quickly I was to judge and unfairly treated that person. And I've also been a victim of this too, with people saying many crappy things about me, but when they heard my side of the story, they would understand me much more. So, Jimmy's situation is a call for all of us to consider that we don't have all the information, and most likely we never will, and apply that not just to Jimmy, but to ourselves in our daily interactions. Fourth, the problems that arise in most people around validation, money, and power. Now, I want to say that this could be a video of its own, so I will summarize this and skip a lot of important nuance. Validation, money, and power are deeply interconnected and powerful forces that most humans simply can't deal with properly unless they purposely train to do so, doing a lot of healing work and being lucky enough to have the right people around them that know how to keep them accountable. This is an extremely rare combination of elements to have in your life, and even then, most people still cannot handle these forces. This is why blaming and shaming those who fall for this is completely pointless, not only because it will not help them heal, but because it is likely that those blaming and shaming would fall for it too. It is just that we have not been in that position. Now, it is very easy to say, no, I wouldn't fall for it. And who knows, maybe it is true. My experience working in healing settings tells me that when people get closer to being in a position of power that will give them validation and help them make money, they immediately change. it's like something takes over, and I will, once again, bring this back to myself. I went through that journey too. When I became a facilitator of healing ceremonies, I started receiving more praise and compliments than what I knew how to handle. It can very easily get to your head. I saw that I had power over people. I saw an opportunity to make a living. I saw that everything I would say, people would do. I can say that I was extremely fortunate because my friends kept me accountable anytime that I would start falling off the wagon too much. And also, I don't think that I've ever gone too far out of the path of my own heart. But I partially did for moments, and it was not easy to get myself back to a place where those forces wouldn't influence my decisions and my mistakes so strongly. And the truth is, I didn't have to deal with 300 million people the way Jimmy is. The need for validation is a basic human need that we all have. I have it. You have it. That need, for most of us, has gone unmet in one way or another. When a need goes unmet, it wants to be met for the rest of our lives until we heal it, and it plays out in the decisions that we make so that we can get that validation. Basically, if we are faced with a decision between two options, a lot of times we wouldn't do what's best for ourselves or others, but what validates us the most because, well, that unmet need is pulling stronger or screaming louder than our hearts. And then we have the issue of money and power that they attach to an array of different wounds, varying from survival, scarcity, fear, isolation, loneliness, popularity, control, or self-worth. All these aspects of ourselves play a huge part in our decision making, even if it goes against ourselves. And we all make decisions from those places. Actually, this topic is too complex to go in detail here, but it shows why all of these forces can be so powerful and create so much pain around us. Overall, I see Jimmy simply as an experimental and curious person that grew too fast into fame while still being a teenager and that got swallowed by the inevitable issues that come with power and money. But I also see that he has the capacity to change, and honestly, I believe that he will. So, how could we all use this situation to become better people? First, by reflecting on our own tendencies to judge and react. Second, before joining the chorus of criticism or blindly defending someone, we can take a step back and consider the complexities of human behavior. Third, this situation invites us to cultivate a little bit more empathy, recognizing that everyone, including ourselves, is capable of making mistakes and also growing from them. Fourth, to remind ourselves that every story has two sides and that we will most likely be biased toward the side that we heard first. As the phrase goes, there is no second chance for a good or bad first impression. Fifth, by acknowledging the pressures and challenges that come with money, power, and validation, we can become more compassionate not just toward public figures, but also toward each other in our everyday lives. And last, this is an opportunity to practice understanding over judgment and to remind ourselves that true change comes from a place of empathy, not condemnation. And last, I would like to give a message directly to Jimmy. I actually have no idea if he will see this. Most likely not, but just in case, here it goes. Hey Jimmy, I know that you are most likely going through a tough time right now, and it is probably very easy for the noise and criticism to feel very overwhelming. But I want to remind you that the essence of who you are is not defined by this moment or by the opinions of others. Your journey has always been about giving, inspiring, and making a difference, and I believe that core is still alive in you. I see your heart, and I see the risks that you took to follow what it was telling you. You have already shown remarkable courage and generosity, which has led you to come this far. I believe that this is a chance for you to transform adversity into a powerful lesson, not just for yourself, but for everyone watching, for every person that you know that you have influence over. I think that every great story has its trials, and it's how we respond to those trials that defines our legacy. You made mistakes, some of them may be very big mistakes, but I want you to know that it's okay. You can use this moment to delve deep, heal, and come out an even stronger and more inspiring person. To own your humanity, to reclaim your essence. Your story can continue to be one of ownership, acknowledgement, redemption, and growth, and in doing so, you can inspire countless others to face their own similar challenges. You have the platform to do so. You can use it to create meaningful change both in yourself and in the world. Jimmy, I know that this is unsolicited advice, but please stay true to the values that got you this far. I know that it isn't easy when you're managing so much at once. I know how murky things can get, but I also believe that you have the strength to turn this into something positive, and in doing so, I am sure that you will inspire people much more than what you already have with your past videos. That's the end of my letter. I believe in humans coming together to resolve using their hearts. We might not be there yet, but if we don't start at some point, we will never get there. This video and this message is an attempt to get a few more people on board with a more compassionate way of approaching the world, and I hope that I managed to inspire some of those things in you. I believe that we can create a future where good news and nice messages generate more interest than bad news and drama. So, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Click on the left square to watch another video I made on a related topic. All my content is free. If you appreciate it and wish to assist me to continue releasing this kind of content, please consider supporting me on Patreon. You can also follow me on my socials and subscribe to this channel.